So welcome back everybody. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. So today's episode is going to be the start and rough end of our HVAC. Now there won't be much work in this episode at all because I subbed this out and some of the work has already happened in the background while I was doing some electrical and other finish up work. But we will have a little bit of work to do in this one because, well, overdue is what I do. And I went above and beyond on installation and rough end than what the HVAC people typically do. So for starters, let me tell you the system that we got, give you a quick walk around of the rough end that has started, and we'll wrap this video up after we do just a little bit of work. So one thing I found out, you can spend as much money as you possibly want to with HVAC systems. It blew my mind. I had a specific budget to begin with, and then as I learned about technology and new things that are available out there, well, that budget had to get a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, and we're still not completely done, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm getting one final quote on changing some stuff out right here. We'll talk about that in just a second. So as far as the main split unit goes, believe it or not, it's only a 2.5 ton unit. Why? Because here, at least in this state, you cannot pull a building permit without doing what's called an energy efficiency form. You have to go work with somebody. Sometimes HVAC companies do this, but I actually hired a guy that was kind of an engineer and has a specialized computer program that looks at everything from what type of insulation you're doing, height of ceilings, type of glass windows, doors, all that stuff. Then it does a rough calculation, and it takes a really long time to crunch all these numbers. It's a several page document, and part of what it tells you is what size system. Now some of y'all are thinking Florida and a 2.5 ton unit. Keep in mind, this is 2x6 walls, 2x6 ceiling, and we're doing spray foam insulation, some of the best stuff that you can do. Actually, our thermal efficiency guy, or I keep calling him a thermal engineer, he was highly concerned that we're gonna wind up with moisture problems in this house, because even with downsizing to a 2.5 ton unit, so it would essentially run more, he still felt like we're gonna have moisture problems. Keep in mind, an AC cools a house, but it also pulls moisture out. That's why you always see drains on them, dripping water out. That's a key component. That's a key function of them. That's critical that that happens. So to help combat any potential moisture problems that we could have in the house, we're putting what's called an ERV in. This is what I learned about when I had to grow my budget some. It's called an energy recovery ventilator. It's got a medium material in the middle with a spout coming in, a spout exiting, another spout coming in, another spout exiting, and 2 blower fans right there. So what it's essentially doing is it's exiting air out of the house and pulling air in. This was key to me because I'm sealing this house up so well with spray foam and all the extra steps I did with caulking, the paneling and taping the seams. You want to turn over your air in your house. You want fresh air in or it'll become stagnant. And when you seal up a house really well, it's not leaking and bringing fresh air in. Y'all know my thoughts on that. I think that's crazy to build a leaky house, and a lot of people do and use that excuse as, well, you want to turn your air over as a good thing. No, a leaky house invites bugs and other things in, plus blows your air out when you don't want it to. So by putting this energy recovery ventilator in, it does 2 functions. One, it exhausts air at certain times and it brings air in. But this media material will actually transfer. It's a very efficient system. It'll transfer the cool air that you've done paid for and cooled the house down with exiting out, the hot air that it's bringing in, say if it's summertime, it'll transfer some of that temperature over as well as moisture. But at certain times of year, when you're bringing cold air in, exiting hot air, it doesn't transfer as well, and it doesn't run all your humidity out. Some humidity in a house is a good thing. So we're gonna be putting in what's called a humidistat. And this will actually read the humidity in the house and tell this one to kick off and on and how to function. This is piped back into the return on the HVAC system, so it's all tied in together, but I'll show you a couple exit points and enter points on the house that we're actually gonna have to seal up in this episode. So that is a critical piece there, something I'm very excited to get, and we went ahead and splurged and got a Honeywell unit because it was highly rated. So our main AC, we're just going with a simple split Goodman system. I know a lot of people think of Goodman as one of the lower end models, but I'm telling you, I've already talked with several AC people around here, several homeowners. I know a lot of people that's went with Goodmans and they have great luck with them. Plus their warranty is actually really good, very highly rated. Now the guy that I'm having do this system, he sells Train, he can get Bosch, he can do all that stuff. he talked very well about Goodman. He really did. Now, I had looked at spending the extra money to go to one of those Bosch digital inverter systems that will actually ramp a compressor up and ramp it down, which will really help with airflow and humidity in the house because it'll keep your system running longer instead of on or off and not pulling humidity out. Now again, our ERV takes care of that. And I wanted the ERV because I needed to turn over the air in a very well sealed house. The Bosch system, it doesn't do that. So we've already went so far over our budget, I just could not do one of those variable speed control compressor units right now. Maybe when we swap this out 10, 15 years down the road, I'll seriously consider one, but I have a feeling this is already gonna be so efficient as is. So the other big thing that we decided to splurge on and do, and this is something I'm very excited about, I had no idea that you could zone a system, zone an HVAC system, and you can put as many zones as you want. And what that means is you can have different thermostats and different controls throughout different part of the house with one system. I would have thought you would have had to have multiple systems. That's just not the case. So we decided to do a dual zone system. We're going to zone the bedroom out, which will have its own supply, own return duct, and then the rest of the house is zone 1, bedroom zone 2, and it'll have its own independent trunk lines and major return like you see in a typical house. So what this allows us to do is we can go to bed at night, set the house up to say 78 or 80 degrees, whatever we want, not let the main unit run. Go to bed, turn it down to 68 degrees. Well, guess what? Now we have electronic dampers that close on those main supply trunk lines. We have one for the bedroom that'll open up, and there's a recirculation system that's being put in with this as well, so you don't wind up blasting yourself out of that bedroom and putting full flow there. It'll put some back into the return side, if I remember correctly. We'll see all that once the system is installed. So what that allows that to do is cool the bedroom down very quickly as if you had your own AC in there, cut off. But the important thing is now we don't cool down the rest of the entire house all night long while we sleep, spending extra money and burning up that electricity. So this system is independently controlled now. Now, vice versa, you come back out in the daytime, maybe we turn the bedroom up because we're not in there, turn the house down, and it flips over and starts running to different zones. Thought that was so neat. We seriously considered putting a mini split or even a window unit in the bedroom. We were dead set we were going to do a window unit, but once we found out about this, it cost about as much to do this as it does put a mini split. Now here's the thing, you can't just go add a mini split after you do that efficiency form because it has to take away from the tonnage of the main house unit. It's crazy, but that's code. We could do that after the fact, but as of right now, we cannot exceed that tonnage unit that's been put on that efficiency form. And any other unit that we add takes away from the main unit. So I wanted to throw that out there. So that's enough rambling on. That is our package as of right now. It's a really cool system, I think, as far as the zones. I'm really happy about the ERV, although it was quite expensive. It's going to make this house really safe, mold-free, control the humidity. It should keep it just awesome in here. Plus, it's going to turn over and constantly give us fresh air in the house, which will make it not seem stagnant in here. Just always have, good, healthy air to breathe. So let me show you where we've started. So I will say we've had to adjust the sizing of some of the ducts and pipes in here because COVID has impacted the HVAC industry hard, and they are struggling to find some of the materials. I just spoke with the owner. They do have some materials finally located. They're going to try to get them shipped out next week to finish the last few rooms of the house. But the 4-inch size material, they have been struggling to find. So as far as the living room goes, we're going to put one big duct up there, and we have one over here. We've also talked about piping one in right here, blowing out into that loft area. So you'll have 3 supplies out there. There is a return up there, which we need to talk about. I have work to redo. Now, as far as the kitchen goes, we've got one right here that we're actually going to force and blow back toward the stove since that's the hot point of the kitchen. We are still waiting for the 4-inch material to show up. We're going to put a 4-inch supply and a small return in the pantry here. Now, as far as the bedroom goes, I'm shocked, but this is what they recommended. We have 2 supplies and 1 very large return over there. I guess the bedroom was quite big enough that they considered it needed to be that way. And it's probably got a lot to do with the fact that we're zoning this out. So as you can see right over here, here's our thermostat for the bedroom. So really excited and looking forward to that. two big vents like that with a 2.5 ton unit blowing in here, it should not take long to cool this bedroom down to wherever we want to sleep for the night. We're going to put one more supply down the hall. This is 4-inch. We're waiting on that. We're going to put a 4-inch supply in here. Again, waiting on materials for that. As far as the utility goes, we have one supply in here. Now, typically, you'll learn, the HVAC guy was very thorough. This is our south-facing wall and will be your hottest wall. He said, usually you'll plumb your HVAC in here and blow toward your hot spots of any room like we're doing with the stove. But the reason we have decided, after really talking with these guys, they've spent a lot of time with me, to put the vents here. We're also going to put one in here once we get a small 4-inch. And then we've got one in the closet in here. But the reason we've chose to do those like that, they're trying to give me the ultimate layout up in the attic and give me the most amount of room. They really have spent a lot of time drawing that out, mapping it, make for sure we don't have pipes run everywhere. And then here is our return over here. So as far as this side of the house goes, we're returning to all down this side. There are no returns on this side of the house because everything is open. It's got the big standard return upstairs because, well, this is all one zone. That's what you typically see in a home. All right, so this is where I'm glad I went with this company. Like I said, they spent a tremendous amount of time coming upstairs, trying to make sure they don't waste any of my attic space. Now, sadly, you know, the bedroom here has one that's up in the middle of the room, and then there's going to be one for the bathroom somewhere right over there. But they're talking about actually running stuff up, tying off, going through the roof. You can see, for example, how they did my copper line set. They went through this blocking, and they were really thinking, they said, hey, we really want to put this into the attic space because you're going to insulate that, which is going to help that line that's going down to the condensing unit even more, having it fully insulated and blown in. So I like that they thought with things like that. So as you can see, we have pipes poked through everywhere. That is all hard pipe. As some people asked, these guys have done an awesome job. Everywhere they have actually seamed the pipe together, snap it together. They have flash tape. I'm surprised they did both sides. They did outside. They have metal flash tape to the actual cans. And they wanted to make for sure they hard pipe to here. We still may flex off of this. We're still discussing about doing all metal pipe, but they want to do metal pipe here for ease of changing down the road. If you did flex straight to your vent right in there, it kind of makes it more difficult to change things down the road. So I like that they're putting thought in like that, not just for now, but for the future. So the whole layout is, you know, your big supply and returns going all the way around the outside edge. They're trying to give you as much space in here as I can, although we still have one more 4-inch that's going to come through here from the bathroom. And they're going to run it down the side. There's those vents that go out. There's the kitchen. So ultimately, I get good walk around room, good floor space. They're hanging as much stuff as they can from the rafters. So this is actual intake side for the ERV. We're probably going to hang the ERV somewhere in this general area right here. And the reason we have separated the intake, or excuse me, the exit so far away from the intake, which is over there, is because I'm going to exit my plumbing stack out this side right here. That's something I can do because I have no window in this wall. No penetrations through the roof in this house, which is critical and something I really wanted. So we took the time to really think that through, exit that out. I still got to go outside and seal these up, caulk them from the inside, and then don't forget they're going to be all spray foamed in. And this is the intake side for that ERV that I was telling you about. Now, originally we had talked about putting the main AC unit right here or in the back. Ultimately, we have now decided we're going to put it over the closet. We want to get it away from the bedroom, but that's a good location over there, especially with that return that we're going to do, and because we've decided to lay all the supply and returns out in that big U-shaped to give me my room back. So what that means is this return is no longer valid. That's not going to work. So instead of tearing all that out, what I'm going to have to do in an upcoming episode is put a new return over here. So we'll pull a little bit of that wiring out, cut that out, block it in real quick, and then the return is going to be ran over there. Again, nice and clean, stuff out of my way. Now also up here, we'll be putting that humidistat in. I think it needs to go near the return to read the humidity for the house. So it should go somewhere in this location to tell that ERV when it needs to kick off and on. All right, and lastly, here's my line set. It's not gonna run up there. He's just got it out of the way. We pretty much have everything roughed in and set up now to get out of the spray foam installer's way. And by the way, I will have the spray foam installers coming over in just a couple of days to go ahead and start giving me quotes and kind of looking at time frames that they can come in and spray. So it's awesome that these guys did just what they did, didn't go any further, don't have HVAC run everywhere because, well, the spray foam installers would be tripping all over that. So they've got everything up and out of their way. Now this line set was something I did very special, and that's a little bit of work we're gonna do in this episode. I'm about to show you that. So again, they've got it run through the roof so we can fully insulate it. And they've got our drain for our pans run down through here. All right, so as you can see, here's our big pan for this unit, and we're gonna do something very special here, which is probably relatively common. So since I'm putting the unit upstairs, that's very scary. What happens if the line ever plugs up going outside the drain, which does happen, and it backs up into the main unit pan? Well, then it could spill over on your floor, ruin your attic. So they're putting me in a secondary pan. They're also gonna put me in a float switch. So if it ever fills up in there, we got 2 kill switches, by the way, 2 float switches. I think one is in the main pan, something reads there, and will kill the unit. Should that fail at all and water get into the second pan, trip that float switch, at least we have a secondary containment area, a secondary backup switch, and those will kill it until you can go get the drain unplugged and figure out what the heck is going on. That's something I absolutely requested, wanted to have, and I think it's critical. The last thing you want is water just pouring out up there for days and days until you finally see it in your walls down here and you've ruined your attic. That's one reason I don't like HVAC units in the attic, but because we went to 12-inch on center with these floor joists and stuck a loft upstairs, we could no longer put the unit down here where it was originally designed. So I've started something over here. It's a little sneak peek at the next video that's coming, but here's the line set that is ran down. And I've already got it plumbed through the wall. Let me show you what I have done out here. All right, so as y'all just seen, I went through a lot of extra work to put this decorative mounting block in to make sure this thing is sealed up very well. So not only did the pipes come through and I sealed them to the vapor barrier, then once they come through this mounting block, it's caulked like you would normally do, and I just don't trust caulking, but too many people put too much faith in that stuff. Now, I can just about guarantee at some point that caulking's gonna break away, give, and water's gonna leak past these pipes. But since I am now spaced off of the house about 1 inch, that water is not gonna go back to where I'm already sealed to the vapor barrier. But should it do that, I've already flashed and sealed all that in, and I caulked from the inside. So I've got 3 ways I have sealed this in. But should water get past here, run inside this block, that is why I did not tape the bottom, I only taped the sides and top. That water will run right out the back side of this plastic and right down this last, what, inch and a half of vapor barrier right there, straight to the ground, just like it's designed to do. Because I can guarantee at some point that's going to leak. So when I was originally talking to the installers, I was like, hey, how do y'all do this? Because I know what I'm requesting right here is odd. They said typically how it usually works out is siding's already up. We come in, we just drill through the side, we chisel out the outside, and then fill it in with caulk. I said, whoo, that's not gonna work for me. Y'all know me, I've got too much OCD and I'm picky. So what happens when you do that? Say I have lap siding already on here, and then they come back from the inside, because let's face it, when you're normally rushing and building a house, the trades can't always be there at the perfect time. I understand that. But if I've already got siding all on this, they come back from the inside, they cut through with a hole saw, now they've just poked through my vapor barrier, then they come out here and chisel or grind away at the cement siding, poke the lines on through, and then slap a little caulk on the outside. There is nothing that just sealed the vapor barrier, nothing that just sealed the OSB on the inside. So all you've got is one line of defense, that little bit of caulk on the outside that's all around where the fiber cement siding is. Plus that just does not look good. And that caulk is going to eventually crack. It's eventually going to give way. Now you got, water's got a straight path right inside the wall into the OSB, into the inside of your house. Some of it may hit the vapor barrier and run down, but again, the vapor barrier is no longer sealed to the penetrations that went through because there was already siding on the house. That is a big no-no in my mind. But I understand most homes get built that way nowadays because, again, you just can't perfectly line up all the different subcontractors to be here at the perfect time. And a lot of times that siding's slapped up long before HVAC, electricians, everybody else can make their penetrations through the outside. And speaking of penetrations through, we've got those two pipes I was telling you about, the intake and exit. We're about to get on the old tractor basket, get up there, seal those in. That'll be the last thing that we do for this rough end until we can get the spray foam guys over. Well, that one did not look very good, but I notched the tape out on this one. This is one of those situations where some flex tape or liquid flashing would be awesome, but I just haven't needed it on much else. I've got specialized stretch tape for my windows, but I did not want to waste any of it on this because it's a big, large size. This isn't really what the heck it's made for, but it'll work. Those cuts were really nice and tight. The pipe was really close to the house wrap. I trust the caulk alone being underneath that big old 18-inch overhang, but it's got flashing on it as well. So those penetrations are good. All right, so what's next? As you can see, they got the majority of my equipment in here other than all that 4-inch stuff that I was telling you about. So next is they hurry up and wait. They're probably gonna come over here and do some more 4-inch rough end once that stuff shows up. They finally got it. But next is going to be, I've got to stay in gear on getting the electrical done, because I got to get my rough end permit done so I can do spray foam. Obviously, I'm meeting with a spray foam guy coming up. As long as we sign off on everything there, he says he's ready to work, no big deal. So I'll keep plugging away on all the electrical next week, as I got to rent a ditch witch. I got to run the big 2.5-inch conduit all the way up to the pole. I got to put my sub panel on the outside, which is still not showed up. Where's it at, Amazon? Do some wiring for the AC outside. I got to go buy some wiring for upstairs. I don't really know if I need that for the rough end or not, but we'll go ahead and run it up there. Put in a couple AC disconnects. So there's still a decent amount of electrical to do, but I should be able to knock it all out next week. Do a quick walkthrough on the house, and then I've got to do what's called rough end work. Strip all these ends, twist all the grounds together, and then come up with a little bit better way to label all my wires since I've got to strip them all. So a few more days of electrical, then we're past it. Call for that rough end inspection, then we start blowing spray foam. Then the guys come back and finish up the HVAC unit at that point in time. Then you're moving on to sheetrock. So it could get really exciting. And somewhere in the midst of all that, we start putting siding on the house as well. So, whew, it may take a little bit to make all this happen. I'm a one-man band and I'm jumping back and forth between a lot of stuff. It is what it is. I know this was a lot of talking, but I wanted to fill y'all in on where we were at with HVAC, what we went with. The only change that's left is we are using flex lines on some of the return, and I may keep it flex, but he's working me up a quote to do everything all metal. As of right now, all my supplies are metal, so that's no big deal. But I may keep my return lines flex, because that's typically your lines that get all dirty, and if you replace a unit in 10 or 15 years, it may be time to just rip that flex out, then put fresh in. The heck with the cleaning. Now I've got brand new pipe that's as clean as can be. Flex is the cheaper portion of all this, so I'm kind of back and forth on what I want to do there. So that's something I'm tossing around. I'll see what the quote is to go up to all metal. If it's outrageous, now I'm gonna stick with flex on part of this, but definitely all my supplies are gonna be hard pipe, no doubt about that. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it.